Welcome, Northwood. Glad to have you joining us today for the first episode of a new podcast called What's Now. We are looking to just have some opportunity to share with you guys about what's going on right now, what's happening in the life of the church right now, what's happening in our lives right now, what are we into with our families, with our sporting events, these kinds of things. We'll just kind of keep it like that. I'll tell you what, something I was thinking was kind of a cool thing that we've done recently is, of course, the African Children's Choir. That was an amazing event last Sunday night, and I know you've got a lot of good insights, some stories on that. Just tell us about the night a little bit and kind of how the week went with the Children's Choir.
Yeah, I had honestly no idea what to expect. I was sitting in the very front as people were coming in. And I had looked back and noticed that the crowd had gotten, there's a lot of people coming in, but I couldn't really tell how full it was until I got on the stage to introduce them. And I lost my train of thought all of a sudden when I got up there. I was like, whoa, there's a lot of people here. Yep. I kept having, this is how my brain, I'm still a person, I still have dreams that I'm in college and I didn't do an assignment and I'm not going to graduate, even though it's been 15 years or whatever. But I kept having dreams that I would get up on stage and have no idea what I was going to say, and then looking and there was no one in the room. I don't know why. Well, at least one of those wasn't true. That the room was full. I didn't necessarily know what I was going to say, but
you didn't say much of anything that night, that's for sure.
But it was so much fun. It felt so good to see the turnout.
And that created incredible energy.
Yeah.
In fact, someone told me the kids were exhausted when they were done because the energy was so high, they were going over and above with their energy.
That's true. I remember, so in case you don't know, I worked for the African Children's Choir for about 2 years after college. And that was always the case. Sometimes you'd have a more laid back church and it was still fun. But when you would get to a church and it was packed and there was high energy, it was another level, and that was always so much fun. But do you want to hear how I got involved with the African Children's Choir?
Yeah, tell us about that. Just how you originally got involved with them.
So I originally they had come to my church when I was younger, so I knew about them. But when it was coming time to graduate college, they came out to NC Bushnell now, and they did a concert, and they said they needed a sound person for their next tour, and I was like, that sounds fun. So I just went and I said I was interested, and they did like an interview, and I applied and stuff, and didn't really hear anything. And I was just, after school was over, I went and was doing the farm job I've done every year since 8th grade, and I just remember being on a combine one day, and they called and said, hey, can you come to North Carolina in 2 weeks? And I was like, sure. And so did that, and I traveled. The first tour we did was 18 months. I think now they only do 4-month tours is what they were saying.
18 months, though.
But we did 18 months around the U.S.
That was like you committed to that before you started, or that's just what it became? You
committed to 12, and then when the 12 months was up, they wanted to do a tour of theaters. And so we could stay on if we wanted to. And I was like, yeah, heck yeah, that sounds awesome.
Did you get to come home at all during that?
Yeah, I think I took 2 vacations maybe, where we would just take a week or 2 off and came home and went back. But yeah, so we did 18 months. And then I went back home and worked for a bit. And then I got a call from them wondering if I could fill in for a few weeks for them on a tour they were doing with a new tour they were doing with young adults who had previously traveled as kids. And I said, yeah, sure. And that turned into 6 months. I stayed with them for that 6-month tour. And that's actually where I first met my wife, who I reconnected with when I moved to Kenya to be a missionary. But
you met her, and when you met her, was she in the choir?
Yes, as an adult. Though.
As an adult.
Yes. I want to clarify that.
I was just trying
Despite
to make
what
sure I understand
Adam and Connor have been teasing me about.
Yeah, not sure how legit that was. That's
okay. Very good.
Okay, so that's like 2 full years total that you did travel with the choir.
Yep, and my wife, as I mentioned, was in the choir as a kid, and that paid for completely her her education and healthcare and everything else completely. And so she got through college with no student debt, unlike her husband. Yeah.
It was just a great evening. The energy, as we said, was so fun. I think one of my favorite parts was when they were playing the drums, and they were hitting these, they were just going crazy, and then they were moving as they're doing it. It was so much fun.
I liked all of the body movement that went into it as well. I mean, it was probably kind of choreographed, some of it, right?
Yep.
But it looks so cool, and it just brings energy. Yeah.
Just flowing.
I was really moved by the night. I don't know if I told you this yet, Joel. I've told a couple of people, though. I was amazed how just at the first notes that came out of their mouth, it just hit me emotionally. It wasn't like it was a sad experience. It was very joyful. But man, as soon as there were just a number of points throughout the night where I found myself just like, whoa, this has just welled up inside of me. It was a really, really cool experience. Just seeing the kids, the effort that they put in. I mean, obviously the adults do, but just seeing the effort that they put in and are giving that night. And it's all in the name of our Lord. And there's just something to me moving about that with kids especially. I love seeing that enthusiasm. It was super cool. What was the week like? They were here for a few days after the concert. What did that all look like?
So we hosted 3 kids and a chaperone at our house. And then during the week, during the day, they'll come into wherever they're staying. Like, so they were in here and they did school and like rehearsals and stuff like that. And then they could go home with you for the evening. And the first night was Sunday night, so it was late. And we went and got milkshakes at Dairy Queen after the concert. Nice. And then went home. The next day, we just kind of played outside. I think it had stopped raining it for a little bit, so we did a tiny bit as the sun was still up a little bit, and then played. And then the next day, the last day, there was a group of them that went swimming at someone's house, and then we were going to go bowling, but me not thinking, I didn't realize that it was bowling league night everywhere. So then I was like, what can we do? So we went to the arcade, the place at Valley Round One.
Round One, yeah.
And did some Mario Kart and motorcycle racing. And I have a video on my phone. One of the boys was playing some racing game where every time you hit something, the seat shakes and jumps. And his face is dead serious, and he's gripping that steering wheel, and he's
driving.
Oh yeah, he was driving that thing.
One of the cool things about all of this was that I think there was some anxiousness about hosting, just because it was 3 nights, and you're just trying to process what are we going to do, how are we going to feed, and I think there was a little anxiousness among our host families, and yet every one of them said it was one of the most amazing experiences they ever had, and probably their favorite part was the actual hosting. And then I loved when I was talking with John Sargent, and he said, Colleen said she's not giving her 3 girls up, and everyone had brought their homestays except for Colleen. And so we weren't sure if she was actually, we were going to have to send out a search party or not.
And Ron and Colleen actually had everybody over, right? And they all had...
For a swim party. For most everyone.
Yeah, that was the night we went to the arcade. But
okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I think the host families had such an amazing time.
Yeah. I hit... From my experience touring, I mean, I knew what to expect because I'd done it before, but I knew that, like, when we were sitting in the host family meeting and you could tell everyone, we've never done it before, so everyone's a little unsure. I knew that that would be the experience people would have after
it was
they were
so
done.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a great evening. I think you said it, but it was truly one of the best things we've done as a church. I mean, we've had a lot of amazing experiences, but this certainly was a highlight.
I loved it. I was so happy with how it turned out. Again, I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
But everyone turned it out and turned up.
Yeah, turned up.
That's so true.
It'll be awesome to be able to have them back in the new building.
Oh, yeah.
That will be a really cool.
Yeah, the next time I heard they're on the West Coast is not till 25, so we
perfect timing.
Yeah, we should be in our new building by then, and be able to really have twice as many people. present. It
Oh,
would
that-
be
yeah.
so fun.
I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, so speaking of the new building,
Yeah.
that's another thing that's
Yeah.
happening right now
Right
in the
now.
life of our church. Major project that we're invested in, but a lot of really cool things happening these days right now too. You were sharing the other day some pretty cool stories that we've seen come out of this whole project, even just the most recent steps it seems like that we're heading into.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, if you were in church, you'll know I preached a sermon on eyes of faith versus eyes of fear.
Yep.
And in all honesty, I was a bit nervous about the message because in the midst of the message, I was going to put out there, how are we going to get to 7.5? And part of how we were going to get there is we need to raise another $2.4 million in 120 days. And how's that going to be received? Our people have been so generous and so gracious, and now I'm saying we got to do it again, only maybe even more. And how are we going to get there? Well, if God's not in it, it's not going to happen. But the reality is it's going to take everyone, right? It's going to take everyone within our family. And it's just been fun because we're already seeing some exciting things happening. So we had a board meeting the other night, and most people probably don't know, but our church received from the government, because we kept all of our staff, all of our employees employed during COVID, we received $260,000. $260,000. When I first heard about this, I had a friend working at a church, and he said, "Hey, we've got a small church, and we think we're going to get about 100,000." And I thought it was a scam. I was like, "There's no way," right? But we did all the paperwork. We waited, and sure enough, it came in. And so we are taking that 260 that we had not anticipated, not expected, and we put it towards that 2.4 million. And then we had set some money aside to try to build the garage. We were even thinking it might happen this summer. It's not. And we're going to build the garage, but we're going to push it back a little. So the money we had set aside to build the garage ourselves, we've added to that. All of that is to say, with that and some already gifts that have come in, we're under 2 million. And I'm just thinking, we're just started and we're already under 2 million. And it's so encouraging to me to think, okay, we can get there. And I just love the concept that the U.S. government is helping us build a church. So I'm in all of it. I'm in favor of that.
I had a conversation with personnel, and when they realized how much money the government would give us if we retained everybody, it's really the main reason that we kept you on all the way through COVID.
Kept me on.
Yeah.
So my end is near.
No, I don't think so. I hope not.
And then just some other fun stories. Like the other day, I was at my house, and a 12-year-old came by. Her mom brought her by because she's 12 and doesn't drive. And she had a gift for the building fund of $1,000. A 12-year-old, $1,000. And how is this possible? Well, she had raised and sold a steer, and it made some money, and so has invested another one and took some of the money she made from that and gave it to the building fund. And I'm like, and you bought another one? Yes. I'm praying that is it a steer right now? But I pray it eats well.
Yeah.
And
I think I need to get in the steer business.
Yes,
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
It's so cool though. But that's an incredible gift. But someone else had just received, I don't even know all the circumstances, but they received a check. And they just said, you know what, I wasn't expecting this check. I'm going to just give it to the building fund for $114.87. Awesome. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it's going to take. Yep. It's going to take, this person and this person and this person, and we all do what we can do, and we invite God into the process. And it's just so exciting to see the momentum going, because we've got to keep going. We've got to keep the momentum going. I don't think people realize how important it is to keep the momentum going. And so I'm so excited that we're moving forward, and I'm very optimistic that we're going to get to that by March 1st. I think we're going to be right at that goal of 2.4. Like I said, we're already under 2 million. And so there's that, but there's so much more. I don't know about the two of you. I'd be interested what you think, but I got to tell you, every time I'm on that property and walking in the building,
Mm-hmm.
I feel the presence of God. I really do. It's hard to put it in words, but there is just this excitement. There's this sense of contentment and encouragement and joy and peace that I feel every time I'm in that space. I don't know what your experiences have been, but that's been mine.
Every time I've been in there, my mind already starts thinking about all the possibilities there are for growth. One, because of the school that's going to be there and the new community, the location. People are driving by there all the time. It's very visible. Yep. And then just the way my mind works too is I start thinking of all the worship stuff we could start doing and the tech and media stuff. Like I'm super excited. And I think too, it's with where we're at now and how we've gotten there and how far we've gotten, like there's no way that God's not in this.
Man, I agree with that.
And it's hard to, when after COVID, how much prices went crazy and stuff. And even at times like now where you're like, how the heck are we going to get the rest of this, this money? But then you see like what Barry just talked about, how already a big chunk's been taken off. And it always works out somehow. God, when God's in it, it'll come together. And then we'll be in there thinking like, remember when we didn't know what we were going to do?
Right.
And
Yep. And I hope that actually we never forget what God has done.
Yeah.
And that's why I like that we have the rocks now, right in the narthex.
Yeah.
All these answer to prayers.
Yeah.
And by the way, the prayers are still being answered left and right. But I hope we never forget that God has done this and that God's in it.
Yeah, I agree. This really has been for me in a number of ways, and I think for my whole family. But we were in from the get-go on this project simply because we love Northwood, so we just wanted to be a part of what Northwood was doing. And as we have been a part of it and been able to just do our part and then see like the story of the girl giving, the 12-year-old giving $1,000, it really it inspires me. I want to do more. If she can do that, then man, well, I'm not doing enough is how I feel. And when I am on the property, I get a sense of this might be similar to what you feel. I just get a sense of, oh, it's right. This is there's not a sense of what did we get ourselves into? Is this gonna I hope we can come out okay on the other. I feel great. I'm like you, Joel. I see especially this last time we were there with a lot of the walls being up, we see the physical capabilities that we're going to have. It's so cool. It's very encouraging and inspiring to me to be a part of this project. It's been awesome. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and excited for the answered prayers that we aren't aware of yet.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we're going to still get our minds blown more.
Yeah, because we're still reaching out to the community, and how's that going to work, and what's going to show up that we didn't anticipate, and it's going to be fun to see how this comes together.
Man, definitely.
Yeah.
I got out of a meeting today for the new building. We were talking about where the power outlets are going to go.
Right. But it's exciting, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm bummed I missed that meeting.
Yeah, those power outlet meetings are good ones.
Well, we're going to have a follow-up, so I'll call you.
Okay.
Man,
very
that's
good.
Cool. That's cool. Well, hey, so I mentioned, that we're going to talk about what's happening now in the life of the church, but we also just want to talk about what's happening now in our lives. And I know that for the three of us specifically, we're all kind of sports guys. We like college, we like pro, and we've all kind of got our favorite teams. And actually, I think that coming up this week, your guys' favorite college teams are actually facing off. Is that right?
That is correct.
Very true.
Big game, Washington versus Oregon State. So we've been pretty divided around here lately.
So I wanted to start this conversation off with
Please do.
With a quote from the University of Washington wide receivers coach, Jamarcus Shepard. So what he had to say was, my hope and prayer. So he's a man of God.
Well, of course. By the way, everyone who plays or coaches at Washington is
they're a man of God.
They're people of faith.
Okay.
For sure.
My hope and prayer is that, talking about the crowd at Reser Stadium, my hope and prayer is that they are rowdy and vicious. I want them to know names of our players and talk bad about their parents, talk bad about their girlfriends. Give us every single piece of motivation that's going to allow us to play our best.
Yeah, it is going to be a huge game. It is going to be a huge game. I heard it is, I forget how many years the two schools have played. Over 100 years.
Yeah.
It's the first time ever two teams both in the top 10.
Oh,
Wow.
really?
They've never played with both being in the top 10.
Yeah.
In fact, it's only the fourth time, I think, that both teams have been in the top 25.
Because I remember it was 2000, I think, when the Beavers won the Fiesta Bowl. Their only loss that season was to Washington.
Really.
Yep.
They were really good that year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What year was that? Like 03?
It was
or
2000, I think, when Chad Johnson and
okay,
TJ Hushmanzada played
Yeah.
for him.
something? Yeah. Early 2000.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be a really good game.
And we're watching it together. I
We are.
just heard.
Yes.
So that'll be fun
Mm-hmm.
for one of us.
Well, it'll really be fun for me because I don't
You don't
have a
care.
dog. Yeah, whoever wins is great by me.
we might have to set up a camera in the corner recording in case it gets a little rowdy.
Oh, that is a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I told you both earlier. I'm worse when I'm home alone watching.
Yep.
But when I'm with others, I'm able better to control myself. But as a fan, I get into it, and so I thought like last week was so funny when Washington's playing Utah, and it's a really close game. It's going to come right down to the end, and Washington picks off a pass. It's actually off a deflection, but it ends up in the hands of a linebacker for Washington, and he's running to score. I know you saw it, the play. He's running to score, and I'm realizing, oh, this probably just put Washington in the driver's seat. I think they're gonna win now, and I'm the only one home, so I can do this. I'm jumped up, and I'm yes. Whoa! And then I could even see it. I could see that he drops the ball. They say on the one, he drops the ball at about the 3, I think, actually. And I went from yes, no. And everybody's celebrating, and the camera's not showing me what's going on, and I know it's a live ball. And in a split second, I went from, unbelievable excitement to like, ah!
Yep.
And it's during those times I think my life would be simpler if I just liked musicals. Because
Less to get riled up.
oh
about.
my goodness. I think every game I probably take a month or two off my life.
Yeah.
Although
I
I don't
always
know.
say I wish I hated sports because my life would be a lot less stressful on game days.
I know. I love people that can just enjoy it and it doesn't impact them, because I'm like I've never been able to do that for some reason.
Me either.
Yeah.
Man. Well, so who do you guys think is really going to win this game? So wait, the Huskies are number 5 right now,
Yes.
right? Beavers are
10.
10 right now. Okay, so we've got 5 versus 10. It's at Reser Stadium. It's at Oregon State. So what are the predictions here? What do we think is really going to happen? I'll tell you what. As an unbiased, I'll start. I think Washington's going to win this game. I think it's going to be a good game, a close game. But I really, really like Penix. I think he's maybe the best quarterback in the country this year. I wish there would be a way that the Cowboys could draft him, but I'm sure that will never happen. I'm going to say Washington by 4 or 5. I think a pretty close game. That would be my official prediction.
Oregon State's a completely different team at home. I think the final score is going to be, I'm going to take the Beavers by a touchdown. I think
By a
28,
touchdown.
35.
Okay.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, that's
35-28, is that what you said?
Yep. That's what I think. If it was in Washington, I would flip that around.
Okay.
But I think, and also Oregon State has a great offensive line. And so I don't know what the weather's going to be like, but if the weather's bad, I think, and they have 2 really good running backs.
That's a good point.
I think they could run the clock out because they've been known to be able to take 7-8 minutes going down the field. So,
some decent analysis there, Joel.
Thank you.
I respect that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Barry? What are you thinking here?
So, I think it's going to be a close game. I actually think, just because that's how Washington plays, they want to take another couple months off my life. So, it will be close. I don't even think it'll be 7. I think it'll be a 3-point difference. I do have a hunch, though, at Reser that this is the one Oregon State wins. I'm rooting for Washington, although I've been rooting for the Beavers this year because I feel bad about the Beavers and the Cougars being left out of the Pac.
Man, I know.
I hate, by the way, that the Pac-12 is no longer. And I feel bad for both of them. And while I want Washington to win the Pac-12, there's a part of me that thought it would be ironic, wouldn't it, if it was the Cougars or the Beavers that actually won in a year that there's no more. But it's just so hard to go undefeated in the Pac-12. It's just so hard. Well, it's just hard to go undefeated. And a couple of weeks ago, Washington had 4 games: SC, Utah, at Oregon State, and the Cougs. And I just didn't think they were going to run the table. They're going to lose at least one. Yeah. They haven't lost one yet. So it's, I think it's possible that they lose this week to the Beavers. But again, I'll be rooting for them to win. And we'll just see what happens.
Well, it's good analysis by both of you, but you're both wrong because Washington's going to win this game.
I like the way you think.
So I know that you officially think that the Beavers might win this game, but you said you're rooting for the Huskies. Are you rooting for them with enough passion that the two of you might even put a wager on this game?
Well, Barry has agreed to bleach his hair if the Huskies lose.
Well, that would be fun.
Yeah. And he really hasn't. As he's gotten older, when I was younger, I would have taken you up on that probably.
Sorry, I had to slide that in.
Yeah, I'm up for the bet because I just think it'll be fun. And I think since we're doing something on social media, we do something on social media where maybe we're wearing the other team's colors or a shirt and maybe declaring our love for that team or something like that.
I agree.
I think that sounds great.
I like
All right, handshake.
Yeah, let's.
All right.
This is
official.
On. Yeah, that's binding. That.
Yeah.
All right. So be looking at social media in the coming weeks. There's going to be some pretty good stuff. One of these guys proclaiming their love for a team they don't really love.
It's interesting being a Husky fan in Eugene, right?
Yes.
Because the two schools are such rivals. And it's interesting because really so many of my family and so many of my really close friends, and including my oldest son, are diehard Duck fans, right? And I love so many of the people who just absolutely love the Ducks, which allows me to be able to when they're not playing each other, to try to pull for them because I just know all my closest friends and family love the Ducks, and it's weird to some probably that how are you a Husky fan when you've lived here? I mean, altogether, I've lived in this area for like 35 years. So by far longer than anywhere else in my life. And I'd be interested to hear how you became a Beaver fan because you grew up in Harrisburg, so you could have gone either way.
Yep.
Right? And but for me, when I was young, and when I was young, my dad took us to Husky games. He was a big fan. And I grew up in Seattle. We went to all the Husky games when I was young. And then, of course, that when I was 10, really life fell apart. And so I think part of what I've held on to is that some of my best memories with my dad were attending Husky games. And I've never let go of that. And I think for that reason, that has kept me holding on to rooting for the Huskies. Wow. It's just this closeness I feel to my father when I was really young, going to games together. And we would go actually by boat oftentimes, and they do that tailgate, which is so cool. And then you go. I mean, I just have some unbelievable memories, and it's amazing because because I went through so much trauma when I was young. I don't have a lot of memories, but I remember Husky Stadium with my dad. In fact, we sat in an upper level, and I remember thinking, I was so young, and it seemed so steep to me. I didn't want to walk up it, so I would hand my knee up. I can actually remember that, so I had to have been really young. So I think it's because of that attachment to a very special time in my life that I've held on to rooting for the Huskies.
Man, that's pretty cool. The thing I love most about that story you just told is that I think people are going to have to feel pretty bad now for anything bad they say about the Huskies team. Well, that's a pretty touching story, actually.
I know the two fans do not like each other, but for me, it goes deeper than
that's really special. That's pretty cool.
And ironically, so we do have one son, right? Yeah. Connor, who roots for the Huskies. And it seems weird because I actually never pushed that on my kids. I never thought that's something they needed to do. But Connor's always loved to be a little different. So if you want to be different in this area, you root for the Huskies. And because we watched games together. Yeah. And so he kind of has some of that same. And my oldest son, middle son, Tay's the smartest. He doesn't care. Although now he's in Corvallis, so he probably will be rooting for the Beavers, I would think, actually. Oldest son, diehard. I took him to a lot of Duck games when he was young, and so he's diehard Duck fan. So we cover it all in our family.
You were saying earlier you almost kind of wondered what it was that caused Connor to settle on being a Huskies. It's it's interesting. I wonder if it's similar, that he just has a great memory of doing some of that with his dad.
Yeah.
And that's what's tied him to it.
But
pretty cool.
Don't you think it's a lot of times it's a family kind of tradition that brings you in?
Yep.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
My story is almost the exact same. Growing up, my dad, when they were Beavers were really bad.
Were they bad?
A little bit.
The trash talk is beginning. This is good. I like it.
Like in the mid to late 90s, he would take us to games, and then they started getting better, and so then he bought season tickets, and he would take me and my brothers he would rotate who would get to go to each game. And Harrisburg is like, if you look at Harrisburg, it's almost the exact same distance to Eugene as it is to Corvallis.
That's what I was
So
guessing.
it's a really mixed town.
Yeah.
But he would take us to Oregon State games all the time. And we would always go to Burger King right before the game, and then we would get to the game. And so also Burger King, I'm not a big fan, but Burger King reminds me of
nostalgic.
Yeah, of course.
And so I grew up, I wanted to go to Oregon State, applied and got accepted, but Bushnell gave me more scholarships, so I ended up there, right next to the University of Oregon.
Right.
But I survived. But yeah, just going to Oregon State games was all my life.
That's cool.
And I feel like I earned it going to those early old games where they were terrible. And then when Gary Anderson was their coach and they were horrible. Anyway, I could go on for hours about that. But
you do not have a year like the Huskies had, though.
No.
Do you know one time the Huskies went 0-12?
Was that Tyrone
really?
Willingham or whatever his name was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
0-12.
What year was that?
That wasn't all that long ago.
Yeah. I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was very painful.
Ooh.
Very painful. 0-12. Yeah.
Yep.
I hear about it from Oregon fans from time to time.
It reminds you occasionally?
Yeah.
Well, do you just remind them, hey, this is a personal thing with me and my dad, all right?
I haven't, but
So I'll tell you what, let's talk about one more thing together here, and it can kind of tie in this way. For me, one of the best things about Thanksgiving, which is coming up here, is football. I'm a Cowboys fan. They play every Thanksgiving. They oftentimes lose, and it makes my Thanksgiving terrible, but I still love that I get to watch the Cowboys every Thanksgiving for some reason. That's one of my favorite traditions. And in fact, this year we're doing something kind of cool. So we're going to in the afternoon, we're going to go over to Jesse's cousin. They have a house out in Corvallis, and there'll be a big family get together, and we'll spend a couple hours out there. And then we're going to come home and come back to our place, and we'll do our own family Thanksgiving for dinner. But what we're going to do is instead of turkey, we're going to keep all the sides kind of traditional for Thanksgiving like you would. But instead of a turkey, we're going to do lobster this year.
I wish
Cooper, our youngest,
I know Cooper loves seafood.
he is a seafood guy, and it's kind of shifted some of our traditions. So we're going to do like mashed potatoes and gravy and the green bean casserole, which I know, you're not a fan.
Why would
and
you
we'll
do
do
that?
the pumpkin pie and all that. But instead of turkey, we're going to do lobster this year.
You're paying him too much.
That's yeah. I'll probably hit my wife up for the lobsters this year. What do you guys have for traditions? What are you doing this year? What's stuff you guys are?
Oh, it's kind of changed. It used to we would always go to my grandma's house.
Yeah.
But since she's passed away, it's kind of just we've been doing it at my parents' house, and my brothers and their family come over, and then some aunts and uncles and cousins come over, and then just kind of watch football. Nice. And so that's kind of been the new tradition for the last few years.
Yeah. For us, it is. We have 5 kids, and as they get older, and as they get married, and as they have their own kids, and they have other families, it's really tough just getting together. I always marvel at families that still can get together. Yeah. Michelle's family is able to do that, and it's really remarkable. So we've taken on the tradition, and we did this quite a while ago. Is we do a Thanksgiving brunch at our house.
Yeah,
because rarely is anyone thinking about Thanksgiving at 10 a.m. in the morning, right? And we don't do a turkey or any of that. We do eggs and biscuits and gravy. Yeah. And Connor once asked, it must have been 6 years ago, can we have more than just 2 or 3 pieces of bacon? I want unlimited bacon.
It's Thanksgiving.
So I've got to go to Costco because we provide unlimited bacon.
I like that.
And then some kind of usually cinnamon rolls or something. So we start off Thanksgiving Day with a huge meal, but is
that at your house?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the opportunity to get everyone together when they're not already having to choose between something else, and then out of that. We called it the Turkey Bowl, but it was just a football game between. So when the boys were young, the team was Spencer is the oldest son, and then Taylor and I and Spencer and Connor were a team.
Okay.
And so we would play football, and for many years, Taylor and I were. Before I was old and before the boys were big, and Tay and I would win most of the time, and then it shifted as all the boys got older, and so did I, and then that's when Connor bought a little trophy, and it's got Connor Spencer way too many times on that little trophy. But what's been fun is Spencer has 2 sons, and Henry and Reed, and so we've incorporated them a time or 2 into this game, and so that's kind of fun.
That is
so that's also a tradition. We go out in the street. You hope someone doesn't fall and slip and hurt themselves permanently.
Yep.
Mostly me.
That's how it'll probably end, right?
Yes,
that'll be the last one.
And each year, it used to be like, okay, first 1 to 10. Now it's like, okay, first 1 to 2. You know what I mean? It's like
right. That's all you got win for.
That's it. But it's fun. For me, I love the football, but it is about just being. I mean, you hear this all the time, but it is about being together.
It is.
Being together. And then later in the afternoon, we'll head up to Dallas, and Michelle with her family gets together, and we do Thanksgiving dinner at their house. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what's your favorite thing that you eat on Thanksgiving? Just one thing out of all of it.
Piece of cake for me.
Cake?
And I like it all. No, piece of cake. But I should have said a piece of pie.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Pecan pie.
Oh, that's a good choice.
I love it.
Ooh, that's a really good choice.
Probably 1 slice is enough calories for the day, but I love it.
Yeah.
I do love me a piece of pecan pie.
I do too.
And I got a niece that makes it. each year for us.
Oh, really? So
'Cause
it's not
my
store-bought.
father-in-law likes it as well, so we usually are trying to get there first and
Yeah.
maybe even take a piece and then hide it.
and make sure it's there for later. That's a good choice. I like pecan pie a lot.
If for sure, that's my fave.
All right. All right. What about you?
Mine's got to be pie too, because
Wow.
usually there's some homemade pumpkin pie or peach pie or something like that, and it's really about the only time, maybe Christmas, but that's really about the only time of the year where I will eat good pies. And so I'm like, yes, I got
Yeah.
unlimited pie.
Yeah, and I don't know, pecan pie is one of those things you either love it or you don't like it at all.
That's probably true, but I love it.
I don't think I've ever had it.
You've never had it.
Oh, Joel, you got to have
Do you like sugar?
Well, yeah.
it. You should try it then.
Then you would like it.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty. Man, pecan pie is up there for me. That would be close. But let's see. Since that's been said, I really like deviled eggs, but I get those other times of the year as well.
Yeah.
So let's see.
Devil. Yeah, I could see
That makes sense
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, it's all coming clear now.
Yeah, so we will still do this usually every year. My mom always did this when I was growing up for us. So for us, while the early game is on and we're not eating dinner and stuff yet, she would always have like chips and a veggie tray out, and she would make clam dip. And I know that probably sounds weird.
Clam dip is good.
It's awesome. I'm not even a clam guy really, but I really like that. So I had my mom share that recipe with us.
Good.
So Jesse will make clam dip, and that might be the thing I look forward to. That's a Thanksgiving thing for me. Yeah.
And if you could leave one thing out, it would be.
Oh man. It's probably what we're leaving out this year. I'd probably just leave out the turkey.
Oh, you would leave out the turkey.
I think so. The sides are also good to me. I don't want
I don't know. I like, my dad always Traegers the turkey, and so it's really, it tastes
yeah.
good.
I bet it does.
Because turkey can be boring if you don't
to. Yeah.
do it well, but it's always good. I don't know. Maybe, I was going to say maybe cranberries, but I like cranberries. That's but another time, the only time I eat cranberries is
But you could do without.
Not really,
But
but
you can't choose that one.
the rolls. I'll say the rolls.
The bread?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
got
no.
stuffing.
Joel, I'm disappointed.
That's
I'm not. I don't want to get rid of any of it. I'm just saying, if I had to get rid of one thing, it would be.
All right. Well, I'm disappointed.
Well, you all know what I would say. I mean,
Yeah, you're
green
dropping
that
the green.
that green bean casserole
Man,
could go
you-
by the side.
That's so good. You're crazy for getting rid of that.
No, it's
Hopefully, you
not
don't have
good.
green beans for brunch.
We don't.
Okay, good.
Because we're at our house. So
You have control.
we
Yeah.
have a little control.
Yeah.
It's almost always at the Thanksgiving dinner, but no one serves my plate up for me, so I don't have to put any on.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we're all going to have plenty to eat, so we can leave out the thing that we dislike.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, hey, thanks, guys. This was fun. Thanks
Yeah.
for the conversation, the good times, and thank you all for joining us for the first episode of What Now. Hope this was enjoyable for you, and hope you guys all have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.